like or force me ma me ye baby by me person me
no for so one or anything
like or person or force me na me ya dear me ya or person or force me di me chiku fie and I'm so person me nti Emma my friends me no e ka say so omo yes no call reporting na say me fan ko me ma me o na mo ka so kenate nti yo ha ti na o like on yes admin no I feel some started.
However, her mother, Adoble Mawusi, grew suspicious after discovering the text messages.
Me banu no ni teacher ni na wo school e to de bia no frefren nti ya me bisa ne say teacher ni be na wo store ni sa o freflo den ne wo ni ntem on peso abekasa na da kru ase na o frefren ni message ni ba phone so no ana mesuma ne bra peni ana ko je phone blame ana ma me hwe phone so ana mde phone free teacher no onfa ana me man message say enti ne bane anema oni akwala ne ye phone so ana me say enti ne bana nka obi de sa de ne ye no aizam so mbetwura mpo no ode ne nyina se ne no eye mana na.
As an only child, Kawe's situation deeply troubled her mother. Adoble reported the case to the Achim Asafo police station, but no action has been taken.
I say, me fa ncheno, me tuasu na me hwe phone ma, me ba no otwa ne nufu sei. Oyi ne ntale no otwa no teacher ne na bisa ne say, on twa naked no nsene no. Ano otwa se sene teacher ne no. Back no so no o se amfre ne sa de nchira o se ontwa na se no so sene no akola nse o se nkrofo ofie nchi o be sene ne back nti that day na o be sene ne sa eyi no ana sa that day na mbeje phone.
Let's stay on the back of this story because we also know that this week the Ghana Education Service removed an assistant headmaster at the KNUST Senior High School in Kumasi after he was seen in a video groping a female student. This has sparked calls for harsher punishment to serve as deterrence. Let's have a quick chat now with Bright Apia, who is with Child Rights International. Bright, I appreciate your time with us this afternoon, but this age-old problem continues to exist, and it will seem as though now people are more brazen. Talk to us about how, child rights perspective on the ongoing situation at hand.
Event. And just that today we are giving meaning to it in terms of recognizing the need for us to discuss this subject. And for me, there's a lot that we need to do as a country to be able to bring some kind of protection to our environment, especially where children do have access to such environment, and then people who are dedicated in the environment to provide a professional training and advice to our children.
I see. Particularly with the situation from the Kumasi Senior High School, we know that the assistant headmaster has been removed. The gender minister is also asking for his arrest. Because this is bigger than just that one incident, why do you think it continues to exist in our schools, despite in certain cases action being taken?
Well, because the actions that we give are limited, and we don't have a proper system that will be punitive enough to deter other people from engaging children in that kind of act. Because in the past, we have only relied on the professional code of conduct to issue punishment to people who do that. So when you go into the professional code of conduct, it clearly states that for the purposes of your professional conduct, well, you will breach it by engaging in some of these acts. But this is also purely administrative. It has nothing to do with the protection of the environment and to also send a signal to people that there are certain activities that you cannot engage children in. So in the absence of a safeguarding policy, would only depend on our professional code of conduct. That is why people still think that they can still continue to unleash some of these activities on our children. As for the arrest, it's a criminal and it's an outcome which sometimes we cannot control. But I think that in doing this, there's a need for us to have a safeguarding policy that will look at preventing people from engaging children in that kind of issues, regulating it, and then also if there is any kind of punishment, we give it on a broader scale rather than depending on the professional code of conduct to handle some of these things.
Indeed, Bright. And indeed, punishment is when the crime is already taking place. How do we protect our children in senior high schools before the crime takes place? By saying so, how do we protect them and prevent the crime from taking place at the same time?
Exactly. That is why I'm saying that we need a safeguarding policy, because as we speak now, we don't have any clear-cut safeguarding policy for our schools. It depends on who owns the school. That determines the kind of safeguarding policy that they need to have. But at the national level, there's a need for a Ministry of Education to develop a safeguarding policy. And in that policy, it spells out what the kind of relationship that teachers can have with students, and how students must also behave towards teachers. So that if there's a breach from any of the actors, we can hold them responsible depending on the individuals involved and all that. But we don't have those things, and that is why it is the way it is now. So for us to address this issue and put a stop to it, then there's a need for the Ministry of Education to look at developing a safeguarding policy for all schools in this country.
Bryce, I also get it that it's unacceptable that we haven't heard word of the arrest of the now removed assistant head teacher of the KNUST Senior High School. I mean, what would you expect to see now going forward?
Well, the arrest, yes, offense has been committed, and for me, the arrest even is not enough, and I don't know to what extent we can benefit from the arrest, because the way and manner the act took place and the investigation that we have conducted so far, the system will be limited in terms of bringing certain criminal action against the said assistant headmaster. But whatever it is, I think that we need to sanitize the system and make sure that we safeguard children, because at the end of the day, this child is going to society and is going to live in society. So if you don't orient the child properly, you can imagine the kind of baggages that the child goes with. So whatever action that have been taken, I still think that we are limited in terms of what the broader picture that we can look at. So let's give ourselves time to be able to make sure that we have policies in place that will look at the broader issues so that we can introduce more preventive mechanisms rather than the handling the byproduct of things that has already happened.
Bright, how can parents help?
Parents are always a unit that the state rely on to train children. So their role cannot be taken for granted. And I have always advocated that we also need a policy on parenting, because we've gotten to a level where sometimes families and parents do take advantage of what exists in the system to be able to do the things that they do. So if you have come to a level where we realize that there are a lot of immoral activities going on, then it means that the family system is gradually eroding. And for that matter, the state must also begin to create a social responsibility that will put a burden on parents to be able to train their children in a manner that will fit into society, so that when they go to school, the teachers can also continue from there. We cannot have children from broken homes or homes that are not fit, and then you expect them that they will put up a good behavior when they are in school. So all these must come together. And at a point, the state must also begin to hold parents accountable for the way and manner they raise their children. And if in a possible situation, parents do not have capacity to provide a proper training for their children.
Very
The
well.
state must also begin to develop mechanisms to take those children from there.
Bright, we'll end it here, but keep an eye on the story. Thank you so much for talking to us. Bright Appiah is Executive Director for Child Rights International. Now, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, says persons who engage in child abuse and gender-based violence should be made to account for it. She lamented the irresponsible nature being exhibited by many other workplaces concerning abuse. She said this after the Gender Minister, Dr. Agnes Namumulate, said her office is collaborating with the Ghana Police Service to get the assistant headmaster of the KNUST Senior High School arrested.
The Vice President, as part of plans, will be visiting some ministries to get first-hand information. She has already been to the Health and Education Ministries. The Gender Ministry is the third, and the Sector Minister, Dr. Agnes Namumulate, in briefing the Vice President, said her outfit is doing a lot to address gender and children issues.
With that, the grant is increased per child. We came to increase it from 1 cedi 50 pesos to 2 cedis. And we just started disbursing the 2 cedis. With the improvements and quality in the meals we are seeing, we are hoping that when we ask for more, it will be in place. And we want to begin this year by cutting salt to begin the construction of the shelters promised by your administration.
She promised to use the month of October to educate the populace more on gender violence and child abuse.
Of recent is the report, Your Excellency, of the 13-year-old girl with the assistant headmaster. So even though GS through the school dismissed or suspended the head, we are collaborating with the police to effect the arrest of the perpetrator.
This has happened. It's not good news, but it's also a question of power. Some of us not paying attention to the nature of the responsibilities given to us in any place of work. Maybe not only in the school, the workplace. It just happens too often. And so public education is also very important. And holding people to account is also very important.
The Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, assured the minister and her staff of government's support. She later launched the 2025 Breast Cancer Awareness Month and commemoration of International Day of Older Persons. She entreated women to continually check their breast, noting early detection saves lives.
Sometimes illness brings unnecessary stigma, as if the person decided to be sick. But we know that illness can affect everyone. The affected need will be understanding, sympathy, support, so that they go out of the very, very difficult situations in which they find themselves. Today is also important for older persons, and it is on their shoulders that today we rise. What we can do is to ensure that at the very least we are showing them respect. We are also showing them support.
Now, some basic schools in the Nkrasa North District of the Bono East region are facing severe furniture and infrastructural deficit, which is affecting the student. A situation we understand is undermining teaching and learning as well.
The furniture deficit at the Dumasi RC Basic School in the Nkrasa North District of the Bono East region have affected the comfort of pupils. In a class of 40 pupils, the entire student body are forced to share just 2 benches and 3 desk chairs, resulting in up to 6 pupils crammed onto a single bench.
So we have a lot of furniture issues here. At first, they used to bring furniture. Nowadays, there's no more coming. So some we use benches. You can imagine sit on the bench and write. And then we have some furniture, at least you can have 3 of them in the class, and about 5 or 6 learners will sit on that desk. It's not possible, and it's not healthy.
Beyond the seating crisis, the school's facilities are dangerously dilapidated. Broken doors and windows leave classroom vulnerable to intruders.
Now, even the classroom is collapsed by the doors. It doesn't collapse. So these are all the challenges that we are talking about. Because the doors are not there, only they enter, the animals do enter inside and then we feel and explore certain things.
Essential learning materials cannot be stored safely, and the threat of rain forces teachers to prematurely close, cutting short instructional time. To make matters worse, the school's challenges are compounded by total lack of technology. This forces them to teach IT lessons theoretically, leaving students with an impractical IT education.
These are modern where you know everything is developed by technology. And imagine a school at this school, they established in 1954. Now, when you have to date, I can't base of any computer in a school that we use that one to teach the learners. So all what the teacher will teach is just abstract after teaching and after learning. They know the subject in their head, but they don't know it physical.
Just a short distance away from Odumasi RC Basic School, Akonkunti DA Basic School equally faces a nearly identical struggle. Headmaster Safo Amos highlights both infrastructure and furniture shortages, forcing the staff to make compromises. This displacement forces teachers to conduct their planning and breaks under the tree. The common room turned classroom now houses 2 classes of over 40 pupils, creating an environment of poor ventilation and restricted movement.
I'm talking to you, we don't have a KG block, so we are using our staff common room as the classroom for the KG. KG 1 and 2 are all housed in one class. Students are packed in that common room because the size is not anything good, and the teachers are being seen under trees. They enjoy their breaks under trees, which is very, very bad for our situation.
While Akonkunti DA Basic School fares slightly better on technology, it has 10 computers with 8 functioning. This is still far from adequate. Headmaster Amos Safo is urgently appealing for more units to enable the standard of 1 pupil per computer.
We have 10 computers, 8 are currently working. They are not enough. As I said, they are 10, but 8 are currently working. So if you get 30 or more, for a student to be able to use one when they come to the lab, for 10 they sit about 3 on a computer before they can do some practicals. So we'll be much grateful if we are given additional computers.
Well, that's our bulletin for you this afternoon. I am Mawuena Egbeta.
And I am Kemini Amanor. We'll be back here same time tomorrow. Next is the Afternoon Show. Bye-bye.